Hey everybody, and welcome to Through Thick and Skin podcast. My name is Megan Pattison.
And I'm Erin Jensen.
And we are already on episode 6, if you can't believe it. We've had so much fun thus far, just the two of us.
Yes.
And for this episode, we wanted to spice things up and bring a very special guest. And we thought we should really set the tone for having a special guest. We wanted to bring in the incomparable, the undeniably fabulous, experienced fellow Aries, Mr. Nico Alaniz on our podcast.
Woo-hoo!
Welcome, Nico.
Hey, thank you. I'm so excited to be, on your first, I was going to call it your first iPad.
That's the thing about Nico. He kind of mixes words up.
Yes,
He calls
podcast.
He calls podcasts iPads. He calls Venmo Bevmo. So if you hear that come up, just nod. Okay, Nico.
You know what he's talking about.
But congratulations on both of you. And then also congratulations on 2 years. Because we've been together for a little over 2 years.
Our anniversary.
Our anniversary. And I have learned so much from both of you guys. You've helped me to step my game up. And I just watch you guys do everything. It's like the best education. So,
oh my gosh, are you kidding me? The best education coming from this guy who's been an instructor for years, who has been a licensed esthetician for 39 years.
Yeah.
And if you guys have never heard of Nico, I don't know where the fuck you've been, because Nico has been with the treatment since day one.
He was our first employee that I hired.
Very
my first hire.
He has seen the treatment when it was just down to studs, like absolutely nothing in the bungalow.
I don't remember the studs.
I know you like studs. I know you like studs. But I distinctly remember I met Nico for the first time, and he was walking through the skin boutique and was just like, oh, okay. All right. There's going to be a room here, right? There's going to be walls up here. Okay.
Yeah.
And was just so gracious and excited. And I mean, we're just so grateful that you have you're a part of the treatment family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So really on today's episode, we're just going to get to know Nico Alaniz and get to know him as not only an amazing esthetician, but he has just in the beauty industry. He's been in the beauty industry since he was 18, essentially. So we're just going to ask him a few questions and get to know him a little better. So if you guys have ever seen, The More You Know with Nico, or have seen our stories, we love to highlight Nico because he is a wealth of knowledge. Not only that, but his delivery makes it really easy to understand. That probably has to do with you being an instructor for so long.
And people tell me all the time they love listening to your voice.
That you should do an ASMR channel.
Yes.
Do you know what that is? ASMR?
No.
It's this genre of YouTube where people talk into a microphone like this and they tap their fingers and shit, and they chew food, and people are turned on by it, or they're I know. I mean, you might be able to make some extra money.
You did ask me one time if someone said, "Can you read me a bedtime story?"
Yes. Someone said that in one of the lives.
Yeah.
Oh really,
Yeah.
Nico?
Yes.
And he's like, yes, for $14.99 a minute, I can read you anything you want. Just dial 1-800-NICO.
Well, interesting enough, I have trouble reading, so this is something that no one knows about me because I'm dyslexic.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, I've had
I know
dyslexia. Obviously all my life. So numbers and letters have always been very confusing to me. But interesting enough, I know how much my check should be.
Yeah, you always know that. Well, that's a good segue then to kind of to ask you. Let's just go ahead and get into it, I guess. Let's really just hop right into the beginnings of Nico, baby Nico. So we call you Nico. Your first complete name is Nicholas.
Nicholas,
right?
And I'm actually the third. So my grandpa is Nicholas, and then my dad is Nicholas, and then I'm Nicholas.
So do they call you junior or third or Nico?
So here's how you know. So if I grew up with you, you're going to call me Nicky because my dad is Nick, and then my grandpa is Nicholas. And then if you went to school with me, you're going to call me Nicholas. And then if you know me from the skincare industry, you're going to call me Nico.
Okay. So if you're walking down the street and you hear Nikki, it's somebody from when you're 15 years old.
I know somebody that I either grew up with or somebody that I've either slept with.
That's a good distinguisher.
Only because it's somebody that it's been in my life. They've been around my family, so my family always calls me Nicky.
Nicky, okay.
So they get used to that, and then
so these flowers sitting behind us are actually your flowers. What did it say on the card?
It said Nicky.
Nicky.
See, okay, so these flowers were delivered to Nikki, and let us all mention, Nico gets more flowers than all of us women combined.
Yep, absolutely.
Nico, whenever I see a flower delivery come up, I know it's for Nico. So these came from one of your suitors?
He's known me for this year 16 years.
Wow.
And we were engaged once.
Oh my.
And I still kept the ring because I think that, well, here's the thing I think if you buy something for somebody, I always say like, okay, remember you bought this for me. So there's no taking it back.
Yeah. Exactly.
For me.
I mean, what would you do? Take the ring back and give it to somebody else? That's bad juju. That's bad energy. No. You can't even sage a gold ring.
And even if
like
it didn't work out, I still might wear the ring in remembrance.
There you go. Like R.I.P. asshole. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so we call you Nico.
Okay, and
it just rolls off the tongue. So did you grow up around here?
I grew up right here in Claremont.
Oh, wow.
On Harrison.
Okay. Wow. And so when did you, like, at what age as a youngster were you like, I want to get into aesthetics and skincare?
Well, very early on, but interesting enough, I love to say this story because I grew up with a really conservative dad, very Mexican, very Catholic, very conservative. And my mom was very liberal. How does that happen? My mom was very liberal. So like if I was going to camp or I was going to spend the night at somebody's house, my dad would be like, and you better not. And if I hear, and if I have to go get you, and I was never that way. I was always good, but he was just, that's his spill. And so my mom would be in the back of him saying, have fun. Aww. So my mom was very much that type of person. Like she was the total opposite.
Encouraging.
So yeah, she was very much like, you can wear the wedding dress, but you have to take it off before dad gets home at 5.
Yes. So she lets you have your like expression, your freedom.
Totally.
To explore.
My mom's best friend was African American. She had gay friends when I was a kid. So I grew up with absolutely everything, not thinking anything about anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought Diane Carroll, who was African American, the actress who just passed away, I thought she was actually Latina because, you know, she was dark skinned. And when I was a kid in the 60s, I saw her on screen and I just thought, oh, she's Latina.
Yeah,
she's like me.
Yeah, there's some representation.
Latino.
Yeah.
So interesting enough, I thought for a long time we were all kind of the same.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's awesome. So when you were, you know, like in high school and stuff like that, were you a dork, a jock, a friend amongst everybody? Did you have a certain clique?
Very popular.
Well, duh.
Very popular.
I mean, Nico's an Aries, like like me. It's very hard. I mean, I don't know any unpopular areas. We're very magnetic. We're kind of like, we love being the center of attention, you know. So you're definitely popular. So does that mean that you got along with all different types of people?
I got along with everybody. I was also, you know, they have homecoming queen and homecoming king. I was the king twice.
Oh, wow.
But that never meant, I was so really shy. Like in elementary school, I was so shy that if the teacher asked me a question, I started crying.
Oh.
Yeah, I was really that shy. But I'll tell you the reason why. Back to the dyslexia thing. At that time, people didn't know what it was. And so they would think, oh gosh, like maybe he's a little slow. And they would put me in that class and they would test me and the teacher would be like, he's almost a genius. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so they didn't know what to do, but they
did.
They didn't really have a name for it yet. And it wasn't until I think I was 19, I took a test and they found out I was dyslexic.
Wow.
And then I looked it up, you know, when I got home, I started looking it up and I found out that all these like famous people were dyslexic. And I just thought, oh, good. And it just made me feel more confident.
Yeah.
But I think I was very confident because I think your confidence comes from the number you are in your order and your family, brothers and sisters.
Oh,
I
like
believe in birth
numerology?
order.
Yeah. So I'm the second to the last. So I had a lot of confidence.
So were you into skincare at that point in high school, or did you kind of get into the industry a little bit later?
So it was even before high school. My mom worked for a very big cosmetic company called Fabergé. And they used to have the Fabergé organic shampoo and Aquanet hairspray. And my mom was in charge of quality control. So she would make sure that after they made the product that it was good enough to go on market. So there was no mold or contaminants or anything in it. And so back in the day, if a label went on wrong, you could bring it home.
Oh, so all the extra stuff.
All the extra she would bring home. And so I played around with that. And so she would bring home a lot of skincare, masks, lotions, cleansers. And it was just interesting to me. It was very interesting to me. And there was one book at the library. Back in the day, you went to the library. And it was called Georgette Klinger. And she had a spa or a salon clinic in Beverly Hills. And I would check the book out all the time for about a year because I was dyslexic. So it was hard for me to get it all, but I would get more and more every time. And she was like Hungarian, and she had this beauty clinic. And so I started to take what I took from the book and then use the skincare and started giving facials about 11 or 12 years old.
Wow. Did you charge for those facials?
Interesting that you say that. I've always been a good business person. So like the neighbor kids would say, my mom said I can have a facial, but she can't pay you to Friday.
Yes.
And I would say,
so give me your
no.
IOU.
I would say no. On Friday, you can have your facial.
Exactly.
So I mean, I don't know, maybe it's an Aries thing, but I think even though I was a good business person, I was more considerate. I don't like the word nice. I don't think I'm nice because I don't think nice. I think nice is kind of mediocre. So I'd rather be called considerate.
I like that.
And I don't think you guys are nice either.
Yeah, I
would agree with that.
That's funny you bring that up. Yeah, because like my biggest fear in life, it's not sharks, it's not coronavirus, it's being mediocre.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I would rather die before I became mediocre. If I was average, oh my gosh, like just put me underground. So yeah, nice wouldn't be the first word to describe me.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty spicy, I'm pretty in your face, I'm pretty aggressive. I'm not mean per se, but
me neither at all. But I would say I'm more considerate.
You are very thoughtful, though.
Thoughtful.
You did give very amazing gifts. I mean, Nico gave me like an 8-gallon jug of Olaplex for my birthday.
I forgot about that.
I still have that pump. I was like, you listened to me. You heard me. You value me. Because that's my shit. Olaplex is my shit. And so Nico, of course, just knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
So thank
Very
you, Nico. So you have been giving facials since you were 11 or 12 years old. And at that time, were you like, this is just something I do for fun, just like anybody would be like, you know, playing after school sports? Or did you know at that time, you're like, I want to do this for the rest of my life?
It was interesting because so I have 6 siblings. So there's 3 boys and 3 girls. And so like I had to do it all. So like my brothers wanted me to box.
Oh, okay.
And my dad wanted me to drive a truck. And then I had sisters, and I did it all. So I boxed, and believe it or not, would you
throw down?
Yeah, I'm the one really here. My family will agree to this. I'm the one like I throw the first punch. I had to learn to be, but I'm like it's probably going to go to that, so might as well be the first one.
Yeah.
If someone's mouthing off.
So would people pick on you when you were younger?
Not really, because I grew up with I grew up with 2 brothers, but I also grew up with their friends as my brothers. So I would say I was very protected. But if we played around boxing, because back in the day there was wrestling and boxing, we did play around, I could hold my own, which is good. It's kind of like nowadays when someone will be like, oh, I want to take you target shooting. I want you to know how to use the gun. And I'm like, I know how to use a gun, but I've just said it in my head. And then they take me and they're like, and you hold the gun this way, and there's the target. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm all, boom. Right.
I hit it throw down.
They're like, what?
You're like,
and I'm all like, I grew up, you know.
Yeah, you're like, this is my first time.
Like, my dad's a Republican.
I would say I'm very much like, this is interesting. I'm going to give you guys a little scoop. I'm very much like a tomboy. I like pretty, I like smell good, I like all that, but I can be tough too.
Yeah.
And
I've seen you on the back of a motorcycle before.
Speeding off with the hair in the wind. Bye.
And the other thing about this is a scoop too that I really never have talked about. But the other scoop is that I never have, when I was young, and this is to today, I never really felt one sex. So I've never really felt like just male, and I've never really felt just female.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that I want to have a sex change, or I don't like who I am, or I don't like my penis.
Yeah.
I love who I am.
Yeah.
But I've always felt really both.
Yeah, like very fluid.
But not to put a category on it either.
Yeah.
And I think that's what comes across, and I think that's maybe what people like. And maybe they're curious about it, but saying it just kind of makes it more the truth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My truth.
And it's and that's what makes you so special is that you can't, like, God broke the mold when she made Nico. Just like
I love it.
Everybody
I
can
love
believe
it.
a certain thing, but it's kind of like these days, like there are definite sides, like you are such a like seriously, you cannot be categorized. Like Nico is just the Nico.
Well,
it's
just-
the Nico Alaniz. You know
Well,
what I
just
mean?
like when she is president.
There you go. So you like, I love that you have some like, there are some very like femme qualities about you. Your hair is always laid. It always looks beautiful.
It has
Your
looked
manicures-
amazing. I think there's only like one day when your hair was up in a ponytail. I was like, oh my gosh, like,
was
what
like,
is going
what?
on with
Oh, that's
Nico?
one thing. Megan played a little trick on me.
What was that?
My schedule didn't have an appointment, and she's like, "You have an appointment?" I'm all like, "Oh heck!"
He just threw up in the messy bun and was like, "Let's get
It's a
it."
man bun day.
Yeah.
It's man bun.
The one thing you should know about the treatment is that we will squeeze in a client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
At
it.
any time possible.
Yeah.
So
Nico,
be ready.
Nico is one of the hardest working people we've ever met.
And I told you I would be here 7 days a week if you let me.
I won't let him.
I would.
He's here 6
I
days
love
a
it.
week.
I mean, I'm not doing brain surgery, so like, come on. It's absolutely. I told your mom this last week. It's the best time I've had in my life at a job. Aww. And I get a little emotional about it, but it is. It's just, you feel so appreciated, and the clients are so amazing here.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
And it's the best. It's the best time of my life.
Yeah, what a feeling to do something that you love and you've been doing since you were a kid.
Oh, yeah.
For people who see you and value you and appreciate you. I think that with any job, if you aren't valued or if you aren't appreciated, you could tell that job to fuck off. Like, and I've done that plenty of times. Like, I'll take my skills elsewhere. But to be at a place where you really feel like your worth is seen could be such a game changer.
Yeah.
So Nico, we all love you at the treatment. The clients do as well. So, you've been doing this now. Like, what did you say? So you've been licensed
This year will be 38 years.
38 years.
And interesting enough, one of my first jobs, I did print ad for Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Really?
So you know where this is going to go.
Okay.
So Mary Kay Cosmetics. And then I said, I really like this makeup. And, I'm a makeup artist too on the side. And they're like, we can hook you up with this lady that's really good in like your area. Her name is Dixie Snap.
Oh, and that's our auntie.
And that's your auntie.
Yes.
And then so they introduced me to Dixie, and it was like being on Designing Women. She's kind of Southern.
She is. She's
She
from the
has the
South.
hair too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
And I was mesmerized with her too,
Yeah.
because she just had everybody like in awe of her, and she had every Cadillac, like she changed.
Yes.
she did have
Yeah.
every Cadillac.
So I actually signed up for Mary Kay, and I was bartending too in the daytime. And so what I would do at bartending, and back in the day you could drink at lunchtime. So I would throw a little catalog down to my women that were having a cocktail and their lunch, and then they would fill it out and order it.
Look, you've always had the side game on.
Hustler.
Hustler.
They
Well,
got
I'm a hustler.
Yes, of course they got a martini. They're like, you know what? I do need that rouge.
Yeah.
I do need that lipstick.
Did you ever get the Cadillac?
No, and the thing is, I never really wanted the
I
Cadillac.
don't see you in a pink
And-
Cadillac.
And also, too, pink is not one of my colors.
No.
No, pink is really not one of my colors.
No. You're
What
more
is-
earth tones, right?
I would say black is your color.
Black is
Black?
my color.
Yes.
But interesting enough, when I was a kid, I wanted to wear pink. As I grew older, I didn't like it. And my mom, this is my mom. This is her in a nutshell. My sisters would say, well, that's a girl's color and you can't wear it. And then so my mom would say, look, there's no such thing as a girl's colors. Colors are colors. And there's no such thing as a girl song or a girl sport or it's everything. If you want to do it, you just do it. And so I grew up very much that way. And I think that's why I'm the way I am.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
she
love your
instilled
mama.
that in
Yeah,
you.
she's a
amazing.
sweetheart. My mom's good. My mom's really good.
Aw.
Wow. So you were slanging Mary Kay, slanging cocktails.
And
then
were you an esthetician at this time?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I was doing professional makeup, but professional makeup, it comes and goes. So you got to keep money in the bank, and so I was bartending and then selling Mary Kay, and I was doing good. I had a suitcase of money under my bed.
Ooh,
'Cause,
like a gangster.
Yeah, so yeah, totally like gangster, and nobody ever said anything, and then we'd be like, let's go to Vegas and let's get the suitcase. That's a good time. I mean, it was so good, and you weren't taxed on your tips or anything. It was just so different. It was
Yes.
so different.
Yeah.
And what was it? Were you the only male Mary Kay salesperson?
Oh God, Dixie, when she saw me walk into her meeting, she was there. The girls were all like, "What?" Yeah, totally. And I was the only male esthetician for a long time too, because getting into this industry. Well, first, they didn't have I can't remember the year they had esthetician licensing, but there wasn't a lot of males at all. So I was always the only one.
Was it originally just cosmetology and then they broke it off into
Yeah, because
esthetician?
cosmetology covers hair, skin, and nails.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So can you like do a fade and do like a little flat top and a trim?
Here's another thing nobody knows. I actually went to Vidal Sassoon for cosmetology.
Really?
So, yeah. So I can give a really great haircut. But it just never was anything that excited me like skin and makeup.
Yeah.
It just didn't excite me.
So did you work as a licensed esthetician in a room in the beginning?
First as a makeup artist. So
Okay.
I started off, this is really good too. I started off in Beverly Hills working with celebrities in hair coloring. And I really was waiting for a makeup position. And everybody was coming in. Kim Basinger, Julie Louis-Dreyfus, just like all these celebrities. And they were getting their hair colored. So I was the assistant. And what I didn't know as an assistant is that you would do all the work, and the last 15 minutes, the big stylist would jump in and start finishing the hair off.
Yeah.
And I'll be
Yes.
like, I've been working on that for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I didn't know that. But I was waiting for, actually I was waiting because Cher was coming in.
Oh.
Cher was coming in,
looks so good.
and so I was waiting for her to come in, and then I was going to leave the job. But they called me for a makeup position. And I went in for the interview, and the manager did not like my book, which I had been working on for years. And I was doing headshots for celebrities. I did Kate Hudson's first headshots.
Wow.
Yeah, before the nose job.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nico knows a lot of dirt.
Yeah.
So let's see how deep
Before
we
the nose
get.
job. And so I was doing a lot of celebrities headshots. And then so I took my book, and he was all like, oh God, no, this is flat, and look
Ooh.
at this, and blah, and just horrible. And there was a lot of celebrities that actually went there to get their hair done. So he said, no, you're not right. And he closed my book. And so I was leaving, and I was holding my book, and he says, you have to reshoot your book. And I had done like 2 years of shooting that book. And so when I was leaving, I was holding my book, and the owner, whose name is on the salon, was walking in. He was all, hey, were you here for an interview? I see you have a book. And I'm all, yeah, I was holding my book so tight. And he was all, well, let me see. And I'm all like, and he kind of pulled it from me, and he started opening it and looking, and he was all like, ooh, like this is good. And I was all like, what? And then I realized at that point, he goes, when do you start? Are you starting tomorrow?
Oh,
and I was
wow.
all, I didn't get the position. And he was all, who did you interview with? And I told him, and he says, we'll call you, just hold on. And I realized when I left there, it's not really always about your talent. It's about being at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And that for me was the right place at the right time moment for me. That exit that I was leaving in his entrance.
Yeah, and just taking those opportunities. You could have walked right past him and held onto your book and not said anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
been super
The fact you
shy
took-
or embarrassed about what
Yeah.
that hater said.
Yeah. So he hired me, and then the manager I really wasn't his favorite because he had already turned me down, and someone went over him. But I stuck it out, and I had clients like Vanna White. And there was a lot of Leslie Ann Warren, a lot of people. Farrah went there. Jennifer Aniston, that's where they did the Friends cut.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, there was a lot of people. And he said, you were going to do, there's a lot of people that come here that aren't celebrities that save all their pennies to come here because Farrah comes here or so-and-so or so-and-so. And so, oops, you are going to do them. And I was happy because I didn't really have to do celebrities. I just
Sure.
wanted to do my craft. And so one day the head makeup artist, she called in sick. And you know, she's a little party, a little Coke, a little this, a little that. And so I had to fill in for her. And it was for Lisa Gibbons. She had a talk show. And I had to do, what was the actress's name? Gosh, I don't even remember her name. I'm sorry. But I had to do an actress's name and get her ready for the talk show. And he says, if you do good at this, we make you guys equal. You have to split up celebrities and regular people. And I did good. And so
Yes.
that's how it happened.
And
for
that's
me.
when you started move from coloring to makeup.
Oscars, Emmys, Christmas cards, and all of that.
So do you have any like ridiculous, surprising celeb stories you could share with us?
It's so interesting because I would love to say things, but I still know people in the business.
Yeah, so you don't,
You don't kiss and tell?
Yeah, and I never kiss and tell.
Yeah.
So that's-
Okay.
But I mean, mostly everybody was really nice to me. And I think a lot of that comes from Well, I think I've been good, but also too, I grew up very Catholic, very, very Catholic. So I really know that nobody's really better than anybody. I know that Judgment Day, God's going to look at, not my bank account, how good my heart was. So I never really felt like anybody was better. And I had some crazy people I worked with.
Yeah.
One of my, I can talk about this one. Tina Louise from Gilligan's Island, she played Ginger.
Oh, yeah.
And so she was my client and very eccentric. And she always fought with me. And I always did the worst job. And then she would call and apologize and say, hey, I'm going to give you this dress from Gilligan's Island. You can sell it on eBay and whatever.
Yeah.
But I used to always look into their heart and I know why she felt the way that she did. And there was no residuals when she was on Gilligan's Island. And so she never got paid after
Really?
like all the other TV stars did.
Yeah.
So she was very bitter about that. And also she was bitter because she was really a Broadway actress. And no one really knows this story, but she was not supposed to play Ginger on Gilligan's Island. Jane Mansfield was supposed to.
Oh, wow.
And Jane Mansfield had the accident which decapitated her.
Yeah.
And they pulled Tina Louise from Broadway. And she feels that really ruined her career at Gilligan's Island.
Wow.
She would have been a serious actress.
I think if you can truly feel empathy for your clients, then there isn't that anger or frustration. There's a lot less of it because you really see where they're coming from and where their anger is coming from. And I think when you can have that connection with them, you can soften them up a little bit too.
Even today, like I really see beauty in everybody and all my clients. And, they come in and everyone's so hard on themselves because they see Instagram and everything. And I just really try to enforce to them that, beauty is individual and it's not one thing and there's not a filter and it's not, even though I love me a filter.
We all do. But yeah, you're really good at that, Nico, at lifting people up and giving a very genuine compliment where people are like, hey, you're kind of right about that. It comes from a place you do see beauty, probably because you grew up around a lot of different beauty. You've seen a lot of different beauty in the industry too.
Well, also, I think a lot of that goes back to my mother. Like my mom would be like, if someone's hungry, you share your lunch. I'll make you a sandwich when you come home, but if someone's hungry, you share your lunch. And if someone's cold, you let them wear your jacket. And if you have an extra $1, you're buying ice cream at the end of the school day, you buy them ice cream too. My mom was very much that way. So I grew up very much like always being that way.
Yeah.
Me and my sister, when we were kids, this is such a crack up, this story. So we always had empathy for animals. And so if we would walk to school and we would see a stray dog or a stray cat, we'd be like, oh gosh, I hope he has somewhere warm to sleep or something to eat. And then if we saw him the next day, we even got even worse. We're like, oh no. And they were like, well, if we see him the third day, we'll bring him home.
Yes.
So how many pets did you bring home?
So many. And they live in the closet. We put them in the closet and we fed them. And then my dad, being very much not into that, my mom really, she was all like, just if dad doesn't find out, just have fun. And so then finally, like after a couple of weeks, we would let them out. My dad would be like, who is that dog or that cat? And we'd be like, it's Biscuit. He just looks different, And my dad and then my dad would be like, well, okay, maybe it is Biscuit. I don't know. We never had a dog named Biscuit, but we had Mexican names like Chico and Chata and stuff like that. I just said Biscuit for this, but you know what I mean. And then they would get away, and then all of a sudden we had like a farm. We had all these animals. But me and my sister are that way still to this day. Like, I really came to a point where I didn't want any animals, and my sister knocked on my door, and she was all like, guess what? I'm all, what? She goes, you got a cat. I'm all like, I don't want any animals. And then I'm just done with that. And she's all, no, you got a cat. So I have a cat. But I've had him for 7 years.
What's your cat's name?
Ty, but I call him Tyga.
Tyga, Tyga or Tiga?
Well, I'm dyslexic, so the last one sounds good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he's a fluffy Siamese, and he's a little bit rough. He might be an Aries. I don't know because he's adopted. He's a little bit rough, and yeah, but he's good. He's loving, and I love him, and he's been a good companion.
Oh, that's important. Yeah.
So after doing all the hair and makeup in Beverly Hills, how long were you in that world, that realm, before you got into full-time esthetician work?
A long time. A company called BioElements picked me up as a spokesperson and an educator in Chicago. And I actually worked for them for 19 years, 19, 20. Remember, I'm bad on numbers because of dyslexia and stuff. So it's around there. And I traveled all over the U.S. and abroad for them.
Wow.
In education. And I have to say, the owner, she's passed away, Barbara Salamone. She really took me under her wing and taught me a lot. I mean, she gave me a lot of confidence and she taught me a lot. But she was rough. She was the Chicago.
It's gritty.
Like
Those Chicago women are gritty. It's
Jewish. Even though her husband was Italian, she was Jewish, but she was really like, no shit. You know what I mean? Like, if you did something wrong, she would throw the F-bomb at you and say you did it wrong. But I realized a long time ago that don't be upset and don't let that break you. Really listen to the message, because the message isn't the F-bomb. There's the message.
Yeah.
And it was what she just wanted you to be perfection. And so I learned so much from her, and rest in peace. Like, I would say she's responsible for a lot in my career, Barbara Salamone.
I think that's a great message, especially for some of the younger employees that are out there, just to listen to the message of what your boss is trying to deliver to you.
Well, that's a good segue. Like, if there is somebody who wants to become an esthetician or even a makeup artist or in hair. I mean, I know you don't do much makeup or hair professionally anymore, although you could still beat a face to the gods. But like, if somebody sees you, somebody meets you and they're like, you have actually... Wait, I forgot to mention, we have a DM. I don't know if I showed this to you, Nico, but we got a DM from a mother of a client of a 17-year-old
so cute,
who saw you for a facial, the first facial ever in her life. And she was very, very insecure and lacking major confidence. The mom DM'd us and said, my daughter has become a changed young lady. She has so much confidence. She's now looking into being an esthetician because of Nikko. She wants to have an impact like you've had on her. And this was just after one facial. And this is just one person that has taken the time to DM us. Like, there are so many people who you've touched just here at the treatment alone, not to mention like in your entire life. So for somebody who's maybe inspired, who's thinking about becoming an esthetician, would you have any words of advice?
Yeah, study hard, and don't get into this industry because you want to be rich and work a kickback, lazy job. You know, don't do that. Have passion for skin, but most of all, have passion to make people their best and feel their best. So to me, that's always been my philosophy. I didn't care if I worked on celebrities. That just kind of happened. I just wanted to make people look good. I remember when I started doing makeup, I almost had to pay people to let me do their makeup.
Wow.
So when I first got paid to do makeup, I was just like, I can't believe this. Like, she's going to ask for some money back. There's a lot of powder under the eyes. But yeah, you know what I mean? It's just do it because it's your passion. You want to make people feel and look good.
Yeah. So when did you decide to become an instructor to teach other young and up and coming estheticians?
So interesting enough, that kind of happened accidentally. So I was in a relationship for 17 years, and my partner died of melanoma. And the interesting thing about it, the reason why I like to talk about this is because, number one, everyone thinks if you're gay and you die, you only die of AIDS. If gay people only died of AIDS, hallelujah. You know what I mean? They didn't get other things. Yeah. But my partner was Scottish, and he was a scuba diver, and he was an entrepreneur, owned an import business. So he had a lot of sun. And one morning, I saw a very interesting mole on his back, and I said, we have to have that checked out. And so we did, and it was melanoma. And long story short, he lasted about a year. So at that point, there was no domestic partnership. So I was being sued for everything. Artwork, jewelry, homes, cars, everything. So I couldn't travel anymore because I was in court so much. So the education job came, it was steady and it had insurance. So I took that job. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved my students, and I love teaching because I was educating for the big companies anyways. I just took it to a different level, more for students that were beginning. I don't think I would have done that had that not happened to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it redirected. Life
It redirected
happens.
me, but I also think that everything that happens to you, whether it be good or bad, is supposed to be. Like, I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't been in that 17 amazing year relationship, and then now, you know what I mean? That has turned me into who I am now.
Absolutely.
So I understand that's my story. I mean, that's who I am, and that's my story. So I was, very sheltered growing up. I had a lot of brothers and sisters that protected me, and I understand now why they protected me. And so I went into a 17-year relationship and basically was with one person and didn't know anything. And then around 39, that happened to me, and I had to jump right back into the workforce and dating and all that, which I didn't know anything really about. And so I had to re-educate myself on all of that.
Well, your impact on being an instructor to a student is how we met.
Yes.
So let me tell you how we met. Nikko was actually applying for a job, and an employee at an office knew I was opening this business, and she intercepted that resume,
Jackie,
and gave it to me and said, "You need to hire this person. He is amazing." And I called you up, and we met, and I did my first official interview at Starbucks, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing at all. I think I Googled what interview questions to
How
ask.
do you interview?
So we met, and I see Nico come around the corner at Starbucks, and he has a leather jacket on and Ray-Ban sunglasses and this fabulous hair. I'm like, who is this person? Oh my goodness. And I think I was hi, I'm Erin. Nice to meet you. I think he said, I'm Nico. I was like, you look amazing. And you're like, thanks. I'm blah, blah, blah age. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay, I'm going to hire this person. I didn't even know what to ask or whatever you were going to say. But it ended up working out, and you just kind of believed in our dream. And without having that connection of that person that you had impressed so much being an instructor, we would have never had met. And so
Wow.
I think that's another reason why you ended up here, all those transitions. So.
Well, thank you to Jackie for the introduction. Jackie made a really huge impression on me in school. And remember when we did that interview, I actually went to Coffee Bean, and you were at Starbucks, and I called you, and that's totally typical of me. I'm bad with direction. I meet at the wrong place. And then I called you, and I'm like, oh no. And then I met you, and I just thought oh, this is Glenda from The Wizard of Oz. She's just so everything.
And then you met me, and you're like, oh, she's Bride of Chucky. Erin's Glenda, the Good Witch.
No, I actually, when I met you, I just said oh, she has to be an Aries. That power. That
power.
That's an Aries. That's an Aries.
Yes, for sure.
But you believed in a vision, because we didn't even have a space yet. You just kind of believed in.
Nico was just on board and very humble. I mean, he has a ridiculous resume. He's very, very well connected. He knows a lot of people, but he's not the first one to say that. It's kind of revealed the more you get to know Nico, how many lives he's touched, who he really knows and who he hangs out with. And also that you are so giving with what you have. So you gave your knowledge as an instructor, and we have so many people. I mean, people that come in here that you were their instructor
all the
as
time.
Clients, but also just walking down the street. So how many times do you get stopped in public at the grocery store or on the street for being Nico?
All the time.
And what do they call you in school?
Mr. Alaniz.
Mr. Alaniz. Yeah, so when I hear somebody says, oh, it's Mr. Alaniz, I'm like, that was a student.
But I like Nico, because Nico's more like Cher or Madonna or something.
It's like
it
Prince.
is only one.
Boom. Nico. How many
and then
Nikos?
also too, some of my former students work for us here at the
Yes.
treatment.
Absolutely.
We don't have to name them, but they work here for us, and
you are part of our interview process. What is an interview question that you like to ask interviewees?
I like to know what their favorite thing that they like to focus on. Some people, it's extractions. Some people, like Deb, it's chemical peels. And so, yeah, I like to know what they really like to focus in on.
What their passion is.
Yeah, what their passion is.
I feel like you can read people really well.
Oh,
You've told me a few times, like, that girl's crazy.
Come on now.
Don't hire her.
He's like, my spidey sense is tingling.
No.
Something's going off.
And unfortunately, that has to happen and exist. But with the treatment, I really feel like it's a formula that really works. And like, it's like I always say the KFC formula. It makes that chicken so spicy and good. But like, I would never want to mess with it. So I'm really, really protective of it too. Like my sister I was with my sister yesterday, and my dad. I was with both of my sisters and my dad, and we were at a funeral and stuff, and we were talking, and she said, my friend really, she might want to work at the treatment. I'm like, no, girl, she's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I won't even, she can apply, but it's not going to go much there because we have a formula, and it really needs to be that formula. We really want to make sure that people come in here and they get a 5-star treatment,
Yes.
and that they also feel beautiful when they leave,
Yeah, it's about the
Beautiful when they
feeling.
leave.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
like that famous quote, like, people will never remember what you say, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Exactly.
So when people bop out of here feeling, after you say, you look gorgeous, you look glowing, and they're like, really? And you're like, yes, you do. And then do you have any questions? I feel so overwhelmed. And they walk out feeling amazing, and they want to come back. It's definitely, like you said, something that it needs to be protected. So we're very, very particular. And you're aligned with the brand for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm so proud to be so part of this. Like I said to your mom, like it's really the most rewarding and most satisfying and the most happy I've been in years. And I mean that. I really do mean that. And I mean, under the scene, we have some things, but we all work it out, and it's just, there's so much love. There's really so much love here, I'm just so happy.
And we like to have fun together too.
Yes.
We've had some
Nico
good
is
stories.
Nico
good
created
times.
Lots of fun.
the
Yes.
Oscar party,
party.
the topless bartenders, the shirtless bartenders. Nico is definitely a great time. So is there something that you are like super diva about? Is your thread count, it has to be at least 1,000 Egyptian cotton? Or
I'm so glad that you said that, because I'm really particular about bedding.
yeah.
Like really
So
particular.
do you don't buy bed in a bag from Bed Bath & Beyond?
Oh gosh, no. To the
No.
pillows, to the mattress, to every little thing. Because I have a sleeping disorder, so when I do sleep, it has to be the best.
Yeah.
For me. I mean, it has to be the best for me. And interesting enough, I just sold my house, so I'm going to be moving. And so when I was signing the lease for the new place that I'm going to be at, because I'm just going to rent now. But the lady was all, oh, well, when, your furniture, and I'm just getting all new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to start
So
all
your
new.
space is like your temple.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Like your home is.
And I like a very kind of spa-like home.
Well, yeah, you're spa like in your
Yeah.
for 8 hours a day,
So I want people to come, if people do have the chance to come to visit me.
if they're lucky enough.
Yeah. And that's very true. I don't have a lot of people
Same.
over. If they do get a chance, I want them to feel very comfortable and very spa-like. And if they spend the night, the same kind of sheets and everything that I have in my bed, they will also have in their room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know I heard a sleeping tip for your bedroom to use red light bulbs?
That's like red
that might make me-
lights.
that might make me a little horny.
All through
like a
that.
strip club.
Well, Aries is red is our
I
power
might
color.
start stripping on the pole.
But you'll go right to sleep because there's no blue light in it at all. I'm going to try it. I ordered some from Amazon.
Yeah.
Well,
watch out.
I heard that you should never have television in your room.
I don't have
I heard about that too.
Yeah,
I don't have
because
TV in my room.
If you're with a partner, it's easier to watch and then not really.
Yeah.
And then also, when I was traveling in Europe a lot for work, I noticed they didn't really have California king bed. They have a smaller bed. So you should have a smaller bed so that you're closer
I would
to-
get divorced. My 6'3" husband would be like, "Get the F
I
out
got a
of my
California king
queen-size
and I
bed."
sleep alone. I spread the fuck out. I'm a 6-foot Clydesdale, so I take all that space. But I do get what you're saying. Like
Yes.
but also we're so used to that bigger space. But if you can condense it, minimalize things, it could still be a very well appointed
Well, I think
experience.
Americans in general like everything big.
Yeah.
Me too, a little bit. But I mean, we like big
Size
food
queen.
and
Yes.
big beds and
Big cars.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
cars. Everyone, so as you get older, I think you downsize a little bit and you decide. One of the good things about selling my property is I don't feel so shackled to all the things. I don't have to have a gardener and a pool guy
Yeah.
and someone to clean
You don't
the
want a
windows.
pool boy?
No, no.
I'd love a pool boy.
Well, I mean, there's a pool where I'm going to be at, so.
So let me ask you this, Nico. I know that you're betting your house is your temple. It's your sacred space. So is there something that you're like lowbrow about? Like, is there something that you believe, like cotton balls from the dollar store, like that's okay with you, or is everything high touch because you like to live in lab lectures?
I am so like. Here's the interesting thing about me. I've never been about money, ever. I mean, do I like it? Does it get good things? Absolutely. But I have never been about money. Like, I always feel like God's going to provide. That's just the way I grew up. That's just the way that I grew up. So I've never had an issue about money. I don't worry about anything like that. So I'm at Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
I'm at Dollar Tree. Like the baby wipes at Dollar Tree.
They wipe your butt just as well as the Huggies, right?
The cotton nail at Stater Brothers
Yes.
is $4. No.
Yeah, Dollar Tree has really good balloons.
They do.
They have
yeah.
incredible
Yes, they're
expensive,
Helium
too.
is so expensive, and they have great balloons ready to go. That's where I go to get my balloons. Is the Dollar Tree, and
Me
like
too.
they have really good like birthday candles, like birthday bags and stuff like that. So. That just shows that there are some things you do not play about, which is the sheets. For me, it's like my coffee.
Yeah.
Like I don't drink 7-Eleven coffee. I haven't since I get PTSD when
She'll
I smell
smack it out of your hand, like throw it in your face.
because I
What
drank
is
that
this
for
shit?
college, and like I associate being stressed and broke and having heartburn with that 7-Eleven coffee. So now, I'll pay $20 for a pound of coffee because I'm like, that's my thing. Like that's what I'm a connoisseur of. So,
Well, interesting enough, I don't know if you guys know this. I did not start drinking coffee until I worked at the treatment.
what? Because I like started dripping little drops of coffee in your milk, and you're like,
Aaron,
I gotta
I
fix it.
remember Aaron said one time, like, I'm buying coffee. What do you guys want? And I was like, Deborah, I don't drink coffee. What do I want? and then so I told Aaron, and then she got it. She brought it, and then I drank it, and I'm all like, woo!
Jet fuel. Let's
Yeah,
go.
like,
Lit.
wow. And so, so now I enjoy a good cup of coffee. Yeah, coffee. So yeah,
It is good. It's a treat.
It's a annuity to me. But I mean, if you really think about me, I'm really a late bloomer in a lot of things. I just really am a late bloomer in a lot of things. And I think people would think I'm just like, woo, like just partying all the time, doing coke, and never have done drugs. I smoked weed the very first time at 35 years old.
bloomer,
And it was with my girlfriend who was a nurse, and she brought it over to my house.
Medicinal.
Yeah. So like, I'm just, I think people would be very surprised at home that I'm very domestic. I love to cook. I just like a nice tidy place. I just, I'm very relaxed. I don't have to always be out and about, even though it seems like I'm always out and about.
Yeah. Well, yeah. A lot of the places you go regularly, they know who you are because you make a lasting impression. Like you're a very friendly person and you have a very specific look. And I think being in this industry too, like for instance, when you got sent to Dallas for the SkinCeuticals Roundup, I don't even know if that's what it's called, but I keep calling it that.
I like it. This is Cowboys.
Roundup.
Round them up.
Round them up. And, when you, like, I just saw some of the videos and the clips and I could only imagine, like, I wish I was like a fly on your shoulder to see the reaction and how people were kind of like, wow, like Nico, like you're a male esthetician, but you've also had so much experience. Like, what was that like being there?
It was really exciting, but I also remember I am naturally very shy person. So like I got there a little bit late and it was big hair, don't care night, so we had to have big hair. And I had to walk into the party where everyone was there. And so you just have to put on your big underwear and get in there and do it. But once I'm in there, I'm okay. Now, here's another thing that nobody really knows about me, and even happens to this date, is like if my friends say, meet me at a restaurant or meet me at a bar or meet me there, I get there and I'm all, are you guys inside? If they're not inside, I will not walk in by myself. Yeah, I will
You
not.
don't even go to the bar and have a drink?
Nope.
Not even a
You'll wait in
shot
your
before
car?
they get there?
Not even at Bardot's. Well, maybe Bardot's now because I know people that work there. But yeah, I wait in the car until someone's in there.
Yeah.
I will not walk in by myself. It's just my thing.
Yeah.
It's just one of my things.
So let's get into some questions then.
Oh, good.
So since you are our very first guest, Nico,
Okay.
like I said, we wanted to set the tone because you are so integral to the treatment and a lot of people are curious about you and you have a lot of fans. So I think for future guests we have on the show, we want to ask them kind of like a signature question or a couple questions. So I'm going to answer these, whatever you're comfortable with answering, just let us know. First question. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Pablo Picasso. I thought that was. Yeah, because he's such a great artist and I just don't really know much and I like to study people. So, and then Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers.
Yeah, and that's probably I don't think I have 3.
Yeah.
Joan Rivers, Pablo Picasso, and me, and I think that we would probably. Joan Rivers is so funny, but so smart and such a great businesswoman, and Pablo Picasso is such a great artist that I think it would be a really good session of just putting together art and laughter and just good.
Oh, I love that.
That's a great one. And so, what's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
That's such a hard one. But what I can say is to anybody is don't burn your bridges anywhere. Because this is, even though it's such a big industry, it's also a very small industry and everybody knows each other. And even if you dislike something about the place that you work, make it work and leave as professionally as you can so that they can have nothing bad to say about you either way.
That's smart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's very, very smart.
Does that answer that?
Yeah, absolutely it does. That's like if, and like you said, it's super incestuous.
Yes.
Everybody knows each other. Even if you move to another state or something like that, you just never know. So always treat others the way you want to be treated.
Yes.
And then what advice would you kind of touched upon this, but maybe if you forgot anything, what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours?
Keep up with your education and listen and learn to your elders, and even not your elders, even people that have much more experience and have something to talk about that you know nothing about.
Yeah, so stay humble, open ears.
Yeah, totally. I've learned honestly, I've learned so much from both of you guys in the short time that I've been here. And I remember, I'm going to tell us a funny story. I remember you guys were doing a photo shoot, and so I kind of stuck around to watch. And I remember like how you guys did it so professionally, and then Megan got up there and then she started posing for the camera and the wind just started by itself. It blew her hair a little bit. And I was all like, oh my God. That's like,
I beckoned the wind gods.
Well, no, you're in tune with what's going on and the wind gods, and it all meshed and worked well together. And I'm all like, I got to remember that you just have to really be in tune and meshed with everything, all your elements.
Yeah.
Because it really makes things work.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I didn't know.
You do a great photo shoot, Megan.
Oh my
Megan,
gosh.
bam, hit.
Yeah,
look,
I hear a click and I'm like, click, 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 click.
And then I remember my
suck
first.
Suck it in.
I remember my first time with Erin in the camera, and she came into my room and she introduced me, and then she was so good, and just like, I was like, oh my God, I don't know how this is gonna work, but you were so good, and I learned so much from you. And then I thought, well, just pay attention and learn, from her and from you. And that's like going to school. Like people always forget that. Like, learn from everyone that you work with that is so good at what they do, and ask them questions and things. And so, I've learned so much from both of you.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just
No.
do it and,
Yeah.
learn from your mistakes and get better each time.
Yeah.
So, Nico, is there a common myth about your profession that you'd want to debunk or?
Yeah, that you're just going to get into it because you want a cushy job. I kind of said that earlier.
Yeah.
It's not a cushy job to work with people and make them feel good. You know what I mean? Like, you really have to. This is going to also sound strange. I'm driving and I'm meditating to get here. I mean, in driving and meditating, what is that called? it's not good. Like, who meditates when they drive?
Yeah.
But to me, it works.
Yeah.
And so, because I have to get grounded to get here so that I can give the best to my client.
Yeah.
So, so if you just think you're going to slide into this and you don't really want to work hard and give your all, then it's not for you.
Yeah. If you're distracted, your client feels
Yeah,
it. I mean,
totally.
sometimes I'll be distracted talking to a patient and I have to like check myself. Like, you need to focus. Whatever you're worrying about, put it aside because you're there for that patient or that client.
And granted, every once in a while, we're going to have a day when we're kind of off ourselves and that things might not be the best. And we have to take those days at the end and review and see why were they not the best and how am I not going to let that happen again? Because I really feel the client is my focus for that hour or however long they're with me. And I want them to just get up and feel so good.
Yeah. And you're also touching them too. There's like an energy exchange.
Oh, yeah.
And not only that, they touch me. I would say, honestly, I just told the girls today, I said, I don't know what it is. It's Mercury retrograde. And the last 2 weeks, my clients have been, and they're always great, but they have been extra special and beautiful and
Giving you messages.
They might know you need it
just
right
really
now.
good. And I'm all, oh, finally, I deserve a good Mercury retrograde. and the other last good Mercury retrograde I had was when the treatment opened.
Do we open in retrograde?
Yes.
That's a big no-no. Like
Yeah.
signing
Remember, I
contracts.
asked you not to sign my contract, and you
Yes.
were like, "What is going on?"
That was
We
before
did it by
Aaron
a
got
computer.
converted.
We didn't buy a computer. I did get fully converted into all this retrograde stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
100% believe it
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So if you have to push off signing a contract or buying a computer, make sure to look at the charts to see when Mercury retrograde is done retrograde.
This is a short one, though. It's over on March 10th, so it's a short
thank
Mercury.
Oh,
God.
good,
so
good,
praise
good.
Jesus, yeah.
Good to know. So, if you were stranded on a deserted
Oh my
island,
gosh, I already know.
what would the 3 things you'd bring? It doesn't have to be skincare. It could be anything.
Easy. I'm going to stop you right there. Daniel Craig, Brad Pitt, and Josh Brolin. There you go. And then we'll all figure it out. We'll figure it
Daniel
out.
Craig is fire. That's the Bond,
is.
the blonde
James
Bond, right?
Bond, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm not really into blonde guys.
Easy.
But
I could climb a tree and get a coconut and make lotion and lip gloss and
You-
wash my hair in the ocean and
you'd have the beach waves from the salty water.
There you go.
Oh
There
my
you
gosh!
go.
But then what would Brad Pitt be doing? Just looking
Well,
good?
I think about this now, and they might be into each other. So, like, what I mean?
Maybe you see
I might just be making coconut cream pie in the hut. And they're all
They'd have
like,
to build
yeah,
the oven.
Yeah.
They'd have to source the wheat. One of them could build a fire. The other could build a boat. So you might not want to leave that deserted island.
There you go.
With all of them.
You never know. But chances are at least one. But it's only us 3 on them 3 and me on the island. Oh, it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
Eventually they're gonna bend.
Okay, can you answer me this question? Have you given facials to any of those 3 guys?
Okay, this is, oh God, I hate to say this, but I want to say it so bad. Okay, so no, but I seen Leonardo DiCaprio naked.
Wait, pre-dad bod or post-dad bod?
So right after, it wasn't even released, right after Titanic was made.
Oh, so he was a young little
Young
whippersnapper.
boy.
Yeah.
Let's just say
He was just looking good?
well, there was a sparrow in the bush, okay? But it was cold. Yeah, I worked at a really famous spa. I won't say the name. A really famous spa with a lot of celebrities, and he was there with another famous actor. And I trained these places.
Yeah.
And there was these private baths where you can make a bath for yourself. And they were getting in, and so I'm all like, "What the fuck? I'm just gonna, oops,
Sorry. Here's your towel.
I'll take a little peek." And I'm like, "Oh, not really much to peek about." But I mean, maybe there's showers and there's growers. So.
Yeah, exactly. You never know.
You never know.
Well, I think Leo is doing fine these days.
Obviously,
He's got
yeah.
a 23-year-old Victoria's Secret model,
Yeah.
I'm sure, in
Yeah.
his bed right now. So
And do you ever notice, this is what I always say, because I never dated short guys for a long time, but I always thought, fuck, Rod Stewart always gets all these hot,
Tall.
Yeah.
Tall
and so
women.
I'm always like, okay, so it's okay to date shorter. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
you miss out. Well, because since we're both 6 feet tall, if we dated people that were only taller than us, we're missing out on like 70% of the population.
Yeah.
Oh, Aaron, shut up. Your husband's like 5 inches taller than
Yeah.
you. Aaron's trying to chime in like, totally. Bitch, you have no idea. You have no idea what it's like to be a tall girl, okay?
I'm not that short.
You're 5'7".
Sorry. Okay.
That
But in
is
heels,
like
how
average.
tall are you?
5'9"-ish.
Yeah.
But I mean, Nico and I flat-footed, and I realized that too. I was like, wow, like seriously, like why do I mean, if a shorter guy has the energy, because I can't tell you how many, well, I actually can, 3 have told me like, I will climb that tree, and I'm like, oh really? Okay, then get a running start, because you're actually kind of cute. You know what I mean? Like, I will give a shorter guy a chance. It's the confidence.
Absolutely.
It's the energy. If they think they can handle you, I mean, I don't know the energy dynamic with your guys, but for me, it's like, if they can handle my energy and they aren't threatened by it, then come on. Like, you got to be 5'5" to ride.
I agree. I'm all like, if you can climb the magic mountain.
Okay. So I have one last question. Do you have any questions for
my
Nico?
gosh.
No, is this like the question?
This is the question.
Oh,
We
I
have
hope it's
the
good.
question.
This is the signature question that we're
Okay.
going to give for all of the guests.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, Nico, as you can see behind us, our motto,
Treat yourself.
what does treat yourself mean to you?
So, treat yourself means to me to be thankful, grateful, humble, and get sleep.
That's super important. Your bed is laid
Yeah.
out, and
Yeah.
we don't like to not have sleep. So what would be like your treat yourself meal or experience? Palm Springs?
No. I do love Palm Springs, and you guys do know that I'm there all the time. But I think my treat myself meal is going to be something really decadent and kind of old fashioned. So I love Lowry's prime rib.
So does Erin.
Love
I know.
Lowry's.
And so
Love Lowry's.
she missed her time this holiday season because Dane was a donkey.
My husband and I go every year for Christmas, for a Christmas dinner, and it was my son's preschool performance. And so we're, do we go? Do we not go? And of course, we're going to go to the preschool performance. And he brought home a sheet of paper that said, Dane is going to be the donkey in the nativity scene. And I could not miss my baby donkey. My baby donkey, Dane, has a crush on Nico, 100%. And my medical assistant, Rachel. Full crushes on both of them.
Well, but then he'll get about, 11, and he'll look at me and he's like, that's one big bitch. That's a big bitch.
He's probably gonna be a
I don't
big
know if
boy
I'm
too.
down anymore. Well, let me explain my plate
Yes.
at Lowry's.
Yeah, Lowry's.
Because it's going to be the prime rib, and I like the
Au
English
jus?
cut.
Oh,
I
English
like
cut,
the English
okay.
cut, yeah. And then I like au jus, and I like horseradish.
I got to have the horseradish.
Horseradish. But here's the other thing. I am crazy, and I can eat it all by itself, for cream spinach.
I was going to say cream something.
Yeah, cream spinach.
Cream
I am
spinach?
crazy about cream spinach. I
Yeah.
just love it. And then a couple of cocktails, and I'm good.
Do you like
But
the little
once a year-
salad they make on the
Oh, I love
side?
it. And they toss it, and they throw the dressing on it. Yeah, I love all of it.
And which one do you go? Is there one in LA or Pasadena?
Beverly Hills.
Oh, Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Oh,
Beverly
my
Hills
bad.
is
Yeah.
the one that I always, or Las Vegas. But yeah, I love, and I go once a year, at least twice a year.
Yeah.
But I can make an amazing prime rib.
For the right person, right?
Yeah, well, I'd make it for y'all.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Nico.
Thank
this was
you.
amazing.
Yes. I mean, I felt like we could go on for hours.
Oh my God.
Like maybe we should like do a live cast from Palm Springs and we just chit chat in our jammies.
Oh,
and
I
just,
would
or
love
poolside.
Yeah, or poolside too.
Poolside, yeah,
In your
with
short
our
shorts.
sunscreen. Yeah, my eczema's looking really good. So.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining.
Thank you, Nico, for being you
Oh, I'm
and for
so
being a
honored
part of
to
the
be
fam.
to be your first guest on this. I really am, and I love you both. And thank you for having me and inviting me into this wonderful lifestyle.
Of course. So if anybody wants to get to know you better, maybe we should mention your Instagram handle if people
Okay.
want to follow you on Instagram.
Sure.
So how do you spell Nico Alaniz?
NIKKOALANIZ.
And then skincare after,
Skincare.
right? So @ Nico Alaniz Skincare if you want to get to know Nico on his personal IG. But follow us. We're definitely going to shout him out in case you forgot all of that. So you could follow this amazing master esthetician, Aries, just all around amazing person. So thank you, Nico, so much.
Thank you.
We're going to let you go so you can now
Thank
enjoy your
you.
weekend and frolic. And thank you guys once again for tuning into episode 6 of Through Thick and Skin podcast. Make sure to Follow us on YouTube, our YouTube channel, as well as rate us on the podcast store.
And subscribe.
And tell all your friends and family, especially the ones who are Nikko fans, so they can get to know a little bit more about him.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you guys.